Hello friends, welcome to this first lecture on the concepts from linear algebra for our IIT JAM 2021 course. So this is the first lecture uh, in this particular series of lectures. So without further blah blah things, let's directly go to the lecture. So if you consider this subject linear algebra, there are many things we must keep in mind before going to attempt or make an attempt to learn these subjects. For the previous 4 to 5 years, if you see, I've given in my channel one video in which you can see statistics there, like almost 15 to 16 marks, 14 to 15 marks are basically coming from linear algebra. So and you can see the cutoffs till last year were around 20, 23, 24, and the section only this year it came to around 33.75 or something for general, I'm telling. So that means a good amount of marks can be taken from this linear algebra section because it's actually a simple subject to learn. So there is no need of any tension or anything. It's basically a simple subject for you to learn. If you know a bit of things regarding the matrices and all those things, it can be easily, that idea can be easily transformed and taken to the concepts of linear transformations and all those things. So there is no worry in doing that. So I'll just tell you what are the plan of mine. That is basically the first section. What we'll be discussing is basically from matrices and determinants. There have been a lot of questions based on determinants in the previous jams, and also there have been a lot of questions regarding the special matrices. Special matrices in the sense I meant like symmetric matrices, Hermitian matrices, and all the kind of matrices and questions related to that particular matrices, orthogonal matrices. There are many kind of special matrices. We'll discuss everything in detail. So the second section from which a lot of questions come up is basically the rank of a matrix. So if you take a matrix, what is the rank of a matrix, and all those things we'll be seeing in detail. So this is the second section from which we can expect a lot of questions. This is how I am planning our lectures. And the third one is basically solutions of system of linear equations. System of linear equations also give us a lot of questions from the previous years. And the next important section is basically eigenvalues, So the section is basically characteristic polynomial, characteristic values or eigenvalues, and eigenvectors and so on, characteristic vectors. So basically we can call them by eigenvectors or eigenvalues or characteristic values and so on. So this section will be having, okay. So and the fifth one, that is the fifth section, basically I'll be discussing this similar matrices, because there have been a lot of questions based on this, okay, similar matrices and the diagonalization of matrices. So these are some important topics which we need to consider also in our lectures. And after that we'll directly move on to the vector spaces, subspaces, and all those concepts related to that, vector spaces, subspaces, and all. And in fact in the end we'll be going and looking at linear transformations. And if I tell you, if you look at the questions what I have with me, if I look at that, what I feel is basically the number of questions which are asked is more from the section of 4 and 7, that is if you 4 and 5 mixed together, and 7, because this is basically the section on the eigenvalues and eigenvectors, that section, and also diagonalization of similar matrices. All these things are linked actually. When you can see, when we go on to our lectures slowly, you can see that everything is linked. And once you get the idea in the basic level is in a better way, you can very easily grasp things in further one, okay. And then this also is a very important topic. From linear transformations there have been number of questions asked every year, and most of the question, I mean almost a big part of the questions, almost I could say something like a 40% of questions basically came from this section. So this today's lecture, I think we are going to start with matrices and determinants. So let us see that matrices and determinants. So I'll be going in a very basic way. I'll try to be down to earth so that everybody is able to understand things. Okay, so I pray to the Almighty to give us all strength to complete this course in a very better way, and I hope it will be helpful for everybody who is attending this course. In fact, it will be helpful for me also. I could learn new things. We'll try to explore new things in between. So usually matrices, I'll be basically denoting something like this set of all m by n matrices. Suppose if I write like capital M by n of R, it means nothing but the set of all m by n matrices of order m by n, where the entries, sorry, this is m by n matrices where the entries are from our field R, set of real numbers. This is how we are going to denote it. M is the number of rows and n is the number of columns of that particular matrix. Okay, and the square matrices obviously we'll denote as mn of R or mn of F. F in the sense I meant field. So whatever entries, from where you want your entries to be. So this is nothing but a set of square matrices, set of all n by n matrices, where the entries are taken from R. Okay, so this is how we are going to denote it. And before getting into the lectures, I would like you to revise few simple things. I'll just post some simple questions. Suppose you take two matrices A and B, and you take it from say our M and R. If the product of these two matrices, that is if I multiply AB, and suppose I get it to be equal to the zero matrix, does that mean that A equal to 0 and B equal to 0? What is your opinion? Yeah, we know that it is not correct, right? So if you take two non-zero matrices A and B, and if you multiply and if you are getting a zero matrix, that does not imply that A has to be 0 and B has to be 0, right? So for those who don't know the examples, you just take a small case. You take two matrices from M2 of R. This is our A, and you take this as our B matrix, and if you multiply these two matrices, can you see what you get? If you multiply, you get here 0, then you get 0, 0 and 0, right? That means if you multiply two matrices, non-zero matrices A and B, and if you get it to be a zero matrix, this is in fact our zero matrix. What I meant, it's a notation we are using here. Big zero means the zero matrix containing all entries as zeros. So this is very clear, right? So this is not happening. Okay, and all of you know like when we can multiply two matrices, right? If you have if you want to multiply two matrices, say suppose I take a matrix A is m by n, and if I take another matrix say P by Q, we can multiply these two matrices only if n is equal to P, right? All those things you know. Okay, so the interesting part what I want to discuss in this lecture is basically from determinants of matrices. So all of you know how to find the determinant of matrices, right? Suppose if I give you an 2 by 2 matrix like this, you know it is defined basically for square matrices. We define this determinant for square matrices, right? So if I take a matrix, a 2 by 2 matrix here, you know what is the determinant, right? What is the determinant of this matrix? It is simply AD minus BC, right? We multiply like this, subtract with BC or CB. So this is the determinant. And I know it may be it's a simple concept, but let us see something regarding uh, a matrix, a 3 by 3 matrix, and let us see what is the determinant. So I'm going to give you a simple technique to find the determinant, because many, you know, a usual way of how we do of finding determinants, but there is yet a simple way in which you can find determinants of 3 by 3 matrices, because it will be very important, because we'll be using it further at many stages in many problems in our lectures. So I think this is a simple technique which we can use. So if you find this thing, what you can do is you just rewrite the matrix like this two times. So a22, a23, a31. I think this, some people may be knowing this, but so those who are not aware of this technique, I would recommend that you should learn this technique. It's not a big difficult thing, it's a simple idea. So after writing this in this way, okay, what you have to do is you just multiply and write down these terms, that is a11 into a12 into a33. So a11 into a22 into a33 plus, then you add with this term, that is a12 times a23 times a31 plus, you take this terms multiple, that is a13 times a21 times a32, okay. Then you subtract with few terms, that is the subtraction terms are these terms, that is a11, you subtract with these terms, that is a1, sorry, not a, you subtract a1 with something, you subtract with this multiple of these terms, a11 times a23 times a32, again minus this one. You can see I'm going diagonally, right? So it is not a big job to do this, it's a simple thing, you can easily do it. A12 times a21 times a33 is one more term which left out, minus this one. So a13 times a22 times a31. So this is a simple technique in which you can find out the determinant of a 3 by 3 matrix. So you can verify it if you have a doubt whether this is true. It's just rearrangement of terms when we do our usual way of finding determinants, but this is in fact a 100% good technique in which you can find determinant of a 3 by 3 matrix. Okay, so this, I want you to take some small examples and you can try this. You can pause this section of the video when you are looking at this video. You just pause it, you try some examples, and then you go further, and then you can play the remaining part of this video. Okay, so I think this, you will be doing that. I hope you will do that. And if you take a 4 by 4 matrix, you know how to do it, right? If you take a 4 by 4 matrix, in fact I will give you the traditional way how we do it. That is, if you take a11, a12, a1, because I know some people have still doubts in checking how to find out the determinant of a 4 by 4 matrix. I have been looking at some people who have even asked me, sir, I don't know how to do it, can you explain? So it is a usual technique what we do, that is determinant is basically given by a11, you can take this a11 times the determinant of the matrix, that is, you just remove this particular row and this column, the remaining part is there with you, this matrix, that is a22, a23, a24, a32, a33 and a34, a42, a43 and a44, determinant of this matrix. Okay, so I think I should write sorry yeah, so I'll write something like this. So it is equal to A11 times determinant of this matrix minus A12 times determinant of, so that means if I take A12 here, it's the usual way how we do in the case of 3 by 3, just doing a generalization of that. So you remove this particular column and this particular row, and remaining what you have, you form the matrix there. You get A12 times the determinant of the matrix A21, A23, A24, A31, A33, A34, and A41, A43, and A44. Okay, plus A13 times the determinant of the matrix A21, A22, A24, then A31, A33, it is A32, A34, then we have A41, A42, A44, and again minus A14 times the matrix A21, A22, A23, A31, A32, A33, A41, A42, A43. Okay, so I'll try to do the expansion in terms of this first row. You can do it using the column also. Okay, this is how we find the determinant of a 4 by 4 matrix. I know these things are a bit basic, but I want to give a complete course so that whoever is having difficulty from the very basic level should also be able to follow. That's why I'm giving in detail. So next we'll see some properties about determinants. So you know that we'll look at some properties. Okay, so the first property which I want to tell is regarding the determinant of a matrix and its transpose. So if you take a matrix, then the determinant of A is always equal to determinant of A transpose. So this is one important property of determinants which we must keep in mind. And second thing what we have to see is, the second property is like if you take a matrix A, and if you interchange two rows or two columns of a particular matrix, and if you call that matrix as A dash, then determinant of that A dash will be equal to minus of determinant of A. This is a common thing which we learn in our school days itself, right? So A dash is obtained by interchanging any two rows or columns. Okay, interchanging two rows or columns. So when you do that, the difference in the determinant is just we get, if we have a matrix A, and if you have determinant of A, then we just give a negative of that, negative symbol, negative of determinant of A will be the determinant of the new matrix. Okay, so another property is basically if you have a matrix in which any two columns or rows are same, something like if you take a matrix like 1 2 1 2, so matrix like this. So for matrices like this, if you have like same rows, you can see this 1 2 is the same here, right? These rows are same. So if you have identical rows or something like 1 2 2 4, right? It's just second row is the double of first row, right? The entries you can see. So such kind of case also, in such kind of cases we have determinant is always equal to 0. That is, we can say that determinant of A is 0 if any two rows or columns, any two rows or columns of A or columns of A are identical, or maybe we can say are proportional, something like that. here you can see that is first row is R1 and R2. If you take this is R1 and this is R2, then you can say R2 is actually equal to 2 times R1, some k times R1. So we can say they are proportional. So in such cases always we get determinant of A as 0. And also if you have one row or one column completely as 0, then also we have the determinant of that particular matrix will be 0, right? So if we have a matrix something like 1 2 0 2 0 2 sorry 2 1 0 3 3 0, if you are going to find the determinant of this matrix will get equal to 0. So that you just can expand and you can see. So if you have such kind of case also we have determinant of A is equal to 0. Another result regarding determinant is basically that determinant of k times A, that is k is a constant you are taking and you are multiplying every entry of the matrix with k, then we are asked to find out determinant of Ka. So how to find it? So you can just think, we already know that when you take a matrix, if you take a matrix and that is, for example, if I take 1 2 3 4 and if I multiply with 5, this is something like 5 times A. If I take this as my A matrix, I get like 5 10 15 20, right? So what we are saying is basically in this case we have the determinant of this A matrix is 4 minus 6, that is minus 2. So by our result, that is the property, I think it is the fifth property, I think, right? Yeah, fifth or fourth property. Yeah, it is basically saying that determinant of k times A will be nothing but equal to k power n into determinant of A, where this n is nothing but the order of this matrix, because if you are writing an n by n matrix, then we have to take that particular n here. So in this case, if you check, you will get something like k power n means k is here 2, so and n is 2 because we have a 2 by 2 matrix. So 5 square into determinant of our A matrix, that was nothing but 25 times minus 2, that is minus 50. So this is what we get. So that was yet another property. Another some properties which an important property which will help us in many of the problems in for IIT JAM, especially from this section, is that we have seen that many people have doubts, like when we take a particular matrix and when we apply some row transformations or column transformations, the elementary row operations and column operations, whether there will be a change in the determinant. So I'll give you the elementary row operation which we can use so that there is no change in the determinant when you find determinants. Okay, so what is that is what we are going to see. So suppose you take a matrix A, okay, and you can think like this. We have rows R1, R2, etc., Rn. If I apply a transformation that R1 or Ri is basically Ri plus or minus k times Rj, where I is not equal to j, then that means I can replace my particular row by that same row plus a multiple of another row or minus a multiple of another row. So if I do this particular row operation, elementary row operation, we'll have that the determinant will not change. Similarly, we can think in terms of columns also. If you just rewrite, like suppose we have the first column C1, second column C2, etc., last column Cn. Same way, if I can write the column operation, what I can use is I can write Ci to be Ci plus or minus some k times Cj. If I do this also, the determinant is not going to change. Okay, so this is a very important topic. It's a very important property of determinants which we must keep in mind, which will help us to find determinants very easily. Okay, so if this is a matrix, like if we get A double dash by applying say some operation like this or like this, then for that particular matrix, determinant of that matrix will be equal to the determinant of A. So this is a very important idea you must keep in mind, and this is in fact we can see when we discuss the problem we'll be using all these kind of things. Okay, so the next property which we can see regarding the matrices, things we need to know is, if you take two matrices and if you find the product of those two matrices, and then if you take the determinant, it will be always equal to determinant of the first matrix into determinant of the second matrix. So this is a very important property. Again, we need to think. Here we are taking A, B are both square matrices. Okay, if I fix the field as R, then I can denote something like this. Okay, and since we have this property, we can easily say that determinant of A into A, that is determinant of A square, right? That will be that. Using this property, we can take it is equal to determinant of A into determinant of A, that is determinant of A whole square. That means we get something like this. So, or in general, we can write the property as determinant of A power n. If you take, it will be equal to determinant of A whole power n. So this property also we must keep in mind. Okay, so other properties like some basic properties like determinant of n. What is determinant of identity matrix? Determinant of identity matrix, it is nothing but 1. If you see an identity matrix, is basically a diagonal matrix, right? It will have something like this. All diagonal entries are 1 and remaining all entries are zeros. If you take a diagonal matrix, D, then what is the determinant of that particular matrix? It is nothing but the product of the diagonal entries, isn't it? So here we have a diagonal matrix. So what we get is here nothing but determinant is equal to 1. 1 into 1, etc. We'll get n times we get equal to 1. So that is a interesting thing about diagonal matrices. Not only diagonal matrices, you can think of an if we have an upper triangular matrix, right? We have an upper triangular matrix. We have here non-zero entries, and here all are zeros. I will not say here all are non-zero entries, but at least some are non-zero entries. Or what we can say is only all the lower diagonal entries here are zeros. And we have an upper triangular matrix, right? In that case also the determinant is equal to what? It will be equal to the product of these diagonal entries, the main diagonal entries. Same way, if you take an lower triangular matrix, okay, in which this portion, the upper diagonal portion is completely zero, then you have the determinant as nothing but the product of all the main diagonal entries. So all these cases we have the product of diagonal entries will be nothing but the determinant of those matrices. Okay, then now another important property which we need to know about matrices is that we think of a matrix of this form, that is, I'll first of all write something like in an example, B plus C, D, E, F plus G, H, I, J plus K, L. Now if you want to find determinant of this matrix, then it will be equal to the determinant of A, B, D, E, F, H, I, J, L plus determinant of, you can see I've just taken this entries B, F and J here, remaining entries are same. In second matrix I'll write as A, C, D, E, G, H, I, K, L. So this is another result which we can have, and this is also not only true for the case of columns, it's true in the case of rows also. Okay, so this is another very important property which we use in our problems. So it is not restricted to 3 by 3 matrices, we can do it for any n by n matrices. Okay, so we can also have something like this, like A, B, C. If we have D plus E, F plus G, H plus I, J, K, L, and if you want to find the determinant of this matrix, it will be equal to determinant of A, B, C, D, F, H, j k l plus determinant of a b c e g I j k l. Okay, so this property also we must keep in mind. But as I told you, it's not only for 3 by 3 matrices, it's in general true for n by n matrices. If we can express any row or column as sum of entries like this, then you can split your determinant in this fashion. So that is, I think this is a very important concept which we'll be using when we do our problems. Okay, so many properties are there for determinants, but I have chosen those properties basically which are important, and depending upon the questions what I've seen for the previous years, and based on that I am giving you these notes. Okay, and one next property we'll discuss regarding determinants. If you take the inverse of a matrix, that is, if A is a if A is actually a non-singular matrix, if A is a non-singular matrix, then we can define what? A inverse. So then what is basically the determinant of A inverse? Determinant of A inverse is nothing but equal to 1 by determinant of A. So that is another property we have which we can use. Okay, and yeah, it is easy to prove this because you know that A into A inverse is basically equal to I. So if you take determinant of A into A inverse, you get equal to determinant of I. Determinant of I is 1, and this we have determinant of product of two matrices, determinant of A into determinant of A inverse. So basically you get determinant of A inverse to be 1 by determinant of A. So these are some simple things which you can prove, but I've not given proofs for everything. But if you need the proofs, I would say that you please comment in the comment box and comment section. I will definitely do that for you. There will be some people who feel with difficulty there. Now next let us see about the determinant of the adjoint of a matrix. Okay, so this is basically equal to determinant of A whole power n minus 1. So let us see how we get this thing. So we know that adjoint of A inverse is basically defined as adjoint of A by determinant of A, right? So if you want to find determinant of A inverse, it will be equal to determinant of this whole thing, adjoint of A by determinant of A. And you can see here this determinant of A is actually a constant, right? So determinant of K times adjoint of A is what? It will be nothing but K power, it will be nothing but 1 by this constant, the constant power n into determinant of adjoint of A, which is equal to what? Determinant of A inverse is 1 by determinant of A. So from this you get the value of determinant of adjoint of A. What you can do is to multiply both sides by determinant of A power n, so you get directly this identity, correct? Okay, so this is the first question we are going to solve, and this is actually a question which is asked for IIT JAM examination, and it's actually a simple question also. As I promised you, I will be discussing all the questions which are asked in this section from the previous year question papers only. I'm not discussing anything outside, questions from outside IIT JAM question paper. All the questions which I'm discussing is basically from this IIT JAM examination only. So in this case, what you can see here, we have a matrix P matrix, and it's a 4 by 4 matrix, and determinant of P is given as 10, and we are asked to find determinant of minus 3P. We know that using the property, the determinant of K times A is equal to K raised to n into determinant of A, where A is order is n by n, right? So here we have a 4 by 4 matrix. So in this case, determinant of this K times the matrix is basically minus 3 times the K times power n. So here P is of order 4, so 4 into determinant of P, that is 9 and 81, right? 81 times determinant of P is 10, so 10, that is 810. So we get the answer as 810. So option D is true. Okay, so next we'll see the next question. Yeah, so this is the next question. So here we given that you're asked to find the number of distinct real values of x for which the matrix, this matrix is singular. A matrix is singular means the determinant of this matrix is actually 0, right? That is what is given to us as the input. So I think that is a key point here which will help us to find this answer, because we have to find all values of x for which the matrix is singular. So we have to find all values for which the determinant of this matrix is 0, right? So determinant of this matrix is 0. We have to find all x for which determinant of this matrix is 0, right? So what is the determinant of this matrix? So I'll do one thing. I'll use our technique, what I initially told in this lecture, that a simple way how we can do it. But yeah, obviously you can use your own techniques in finding that, but just to recall that I'll use this. So to find the determinant, I'll multiply these terms first. X into x into x cube plus 1 into 1 into 1, that is 1, plus 1 into 1 into 1, that is 1, plus, sorry, not plus, minus x into 1 into 1, that is x, 1 into 1 into x, again I can write like this, or I can write like minus x, yeah, minus x, minus 1 into x into 1, so minus x, right? So I get something like that. What I get is x cube minus 3x plus 2 is 0, right? So here we have a cubic equation, and you can see we need to find the roots. You can see by observation that 1 is a root, right? Because 1 cube minus 3 plus 2 is 0. So 1 is a root. So we have got 1 is a root. Now to find out the remaining roots, I'll just find the other roots. I'll divide by x minus 1, because 1 is a root, so this is a factor. So x minus 1 is a factor. So I'll multiply x square and get x cube minus x square, which I'll get as x square minus 3x plus 2, and so plus x, which will give me x square minus x, right? And that is again I'll get as minus 2x plus 2, so I'll write minus 2, so it becomes minus 2x plus 2, right? So it becomes 0 here. So what we get is, it is x minus 1 times x square plus x minus 2, and so what we can see, this is again what I think it is x minus what is this? Yeah, it is x minus 1 times x plus 2, and already we have x minus 1 is equal to 0. So we get two roots here. One is repeated twice, so we get 1 and 2 other roots. So we get only two distinct real values of x for which the matrix is singular. So in this case the answer is this one. Okay, so we'll see the next question. Yeah, so this is the next question. In this you can see we need to find determinant of p here, and they are given 4 options. So here I'm going to use the property of that determinants, which what we have seen, that is, if you apply some row operations or column operations, the determinants will not change. So that particular property I'm going to use here. So here if I use this is r1, r2, r3 and r4, I'm going to make my r3 as r3 minus r1, which I can do, and my r4 will be again r4 minus r1. So this is the two operations which I'm going to use. If I do these operations, my determinants will not change. It's something like ri goes to ri plus or minus something. Okay, it should not be changed. It has to be the same I here. If you're using ri here, ri has to be here. Okay, otherwise it will affect. So here if I apply these operations, what I get is 1 0 1 plus x, 1 plus x, 0, 1, 1, 1, and this will become now 1 minus 1, that is 0. 1 plus x minus 0 is 1 plus x itself. 0 minus 1 plus x is minus of 1 plus x, and 1 plus x minus 1 plus x is 0. Here I'll get 1 minus 1, again 0, again 1 plus x, and here I get 1 plus x minus 1 plus x, that is 0, and last one is minus of 1 plus x. Okay, this is what I get. So now it is easy to find determinant. Here you can see 1 times determinant will be what? 1 times determinant of this matrix, right? Because remaining will go 0. If you're going to expand along this particular column, we determined if you're going to expand along this particular column, you'll get only, we have to evaluate only one particular determinant. So you get 1 times determinant of this matrix, and that is again if you want, we can further apply the operations so that we can do it easily, right? So let us try in that version. Then we'll just again apply some row operations. So what I'm going to do now here is I'll make my I'll make my R3 as, or maybe one interesting fact I should tell you, that when we can mix our column operations and row operations here. There is no problem if I do a row operation then I shift to column operations. So because when I reach from here to here, that this matrix to this matrix, I know the determinant of these two matrices are same. Now I'm going to start from here and I'm going to apply something, and I know that if I do column operations, the matrix of this matrix determinant and the new matrix what I'm going to do here will have the same. So I'm going to apply some row operations here. Column operations. What I'm going to do is I'll make my C2 to be C2 plus C3, and my C3 to be that is okay. So when I do this column operation, I get my matrix as 1, 0, 1 plus x, 1 plus x, 0, C2 is C2 plus C3, right? So this has to be 1 plus x, right? This has to be 1 plus x. We have 1 plus x, and here we have C2 is C2 plus C3, so 1 plus 1, 2, this remains same. Here 0, here also is 0, C2 extended is 1 plus x plus minus 1 plus x, it becomes 0. And here we have minus 1 plus x, here we have minus of 1 plus x, and then we have 0, and this becomes 1 plus x plus 0, that is again 1 plus x, 0, and minus 1 plus x. This is what we get. Now after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the operation C3 to be or maybe C2 to be C2 plus C4, right? I can do that. So in that case, what I get 1 plus x, 1 plus x, 1 plus x, 0, 2 plus 1 will be 3, 1, 1, 0, 0, minus 1 plus x, 0, here again 0, 1 plus x plus minus 1 plus x is 0, this is again 0, and minus 1 plus x, right? So this is what I get, matrix. So in that case, you can see now what we got is actually an upper triangular matrix, right? So the determinant is simply the product of the diagonal entries. So what are the diagonal entries here? These are the diagonal entries, right? These are the diagonal entries we have. So the product of these three is what? It is nothing but, answer is 3 times 1 plus x whole square, or x plus 1 whole square, right? That is what we get. So here you can see we have an option like that. So in this case, you get the answer as 3 into 1 plus x whole square. So let's see the next question. Yeah, so we'll see this question now. Here we are given m and n are two matrices, 4 by 4 matrices with the integer entry satisfying m times n is equal to 2 times this particular matrix, and the maximum value of determinant of m plus determinant of n is asked to us. It's basically a numerical answer type question. Okay, so we'll see the solution. So we know that determinant of mn, you can see we need to find something with respect to determinant of m and determinant of n, right? So one thing I can tell is determinant of mn is equal to determinant of 2 times this matrix that is given to us, right? I'm just taking determinant on both sides because our aim is to find something in terms of this 2, and I know this determinant of mn is nothing but determinant of m into determinant of n. This is a property of determinants we can use, and this is equal to, and what is this determinant? It is basically something like k times a is determinant, so it's be k power n into determinant of this matrix, and n is here 4, so we get 2 power 4 into determinant of this matrix, and this matrix is basically an upper triangular matrix, so its determinant is nothing but product of the diagonal entries, and it is actually equal to 1, so we get equal to 16. So if you take determinant of m to be a variable x and determinant of n to be variable y, what we are getting is xy is xy is 16, and we are asked to find out uh, the maximum possible value of determinant of m plus determinant of n, and that is possible when, because we need product of two values is x and y to be 16. So if I take x to be 4 and y to be 4, I get what? xy is 4 into 4 is 16. It's true. But if I take x to be 2 and I take y to be 8, still you can see the product is 16. 2 into 8 is 16, right? So here you can see x plus y. We need to find the maximum value of x plus y. That is what is the question. Determinant of m plus determinant of n. So x plus y in this case is, x plus y if you take in this case is 8, 4 plus 4. In this case it is 8 plus 2, 10, right? But if you take x to be say 1 and y to be say 16, then what you get? You get something like 1 into 16 is also 16. So this property is satisfied. And here the sum of x plus y, sum of x and y is 1 plus 16, that is 17, right? So what is the answer in this case? Yeah, so the answer is basically 17. So there is no other number. If you fit in this fashion, you can get the maximum value. So the maximum value, see, one thing is that you could have chosen here x as 16 and y as 1 also, no issues. Still you get this product is 16, and again you get sum to be 17 itself, right? So the maximum value what we can get here is basically 17. So for this particular question the answer is 17. So but one question you may have is that whether such kind of cases exist, right? So that exists because we can take, suppose you take m to be an identity matrix, okay, its determinant is 1, and n to be the same matrix what is given to us here. So in that case determinant of n is 16, right, and determinant of m is 1. Such kind of cases also exist, so this is actually a correct option. So answer is basically 17. So these were some questions which were asked from the determinant section in the previous years, and the latest year question, if it is there, you can find in my channel. I've given that IIT JAM 2020 solutions. So the questions what I'm discussing is still 2019, and 2020 solutions are already given in my channel. You can see there are different solution sets. I've given complete solution sets. You can refer there to get the solutions. So for today's class we'll wind up, and in the next lecture we'll be discussing the same section. This is the first section we are discussing in linear algebra, that is matrices and determinants. In this we have almost covered the ideas from determinants and the problems from determinants, and we'll be next seeing special matrices, and there are some properties I'll be giving in the next lecture, and I will give all the problems which are asked related to those particular concepts, special matrices in the previous years, and we'll solve all those problems in the next lecture. So thank you for listening to this video, And if you have any comments or corrections what you feel from your side, you can comment in the comment box. And if you like the videos, definitely share these videos for your friends. Maybe others can also get benefit from this. So thank you and see you in the next video.